G'day, welcome. We're recording.
G'day viewers.
G'day, viewers. It's Tuesday, 16 December. It is less than 3 days since an incident at Bondi Beach in Australia where two terrorists, who were pretty obviously Islamic terrorists, but now the authorities have finally conceded they're Islamic terrorists, shot up a Hanukkah celebration at Australia's iconic beach. This actually dovetails in, tragically, to an earlier video we did where we covered a paddle out, a protest and a counter protest that occurred at Bondi Beach a few months ago, where there were pro-Palestine, pro-Gaza, and then pro-Israel sides standing off. And we were super pissed off that this iconic Australian beach, which represents everything that we claim Australia to be about, whether it is or it isn't, it's something we aspire for Australia to be about. This beautiful beach, sunburnt country, and there it was being used to sort of stage a local version of a Middle Eastern conflict that is thousands of years old, that is a blood feud.
And we made special reference to the Palestinian bloke on a horse, who from memory was quite rude to some young children, and then galloped full pelt up and down the beach with his Palestinian flag. And the police did nothing, zero consequences whatsoever. And it seemed as though that is kind of a little bit of an interesting litmus test to see what they could get away with and what the consequences would be. And the consequences were nothing.
Yep. And I take the view, and I think you do too, that everybody has a complete right to protest, they have a complete right to voice their opinions. I don't think that right extends to what I call desecrating something that is a national Australian icon.
Yeah. And it was clear when we were watching the video footage of the protest that everyday people were just being severely inconvenienced. You know, people were just trying to get to and from the beach with their surfboards, and they're just basically having to go through this melee. There were police present, but they kind of, from memory, they were really just sort of more hassling the Israeli supporters out than anything.
The cops are outnumbered. They weren't organised.
They weren't really that interested in what was going on. They just sort of, I guess, were trying to prevent any physical violence.
But it's a whole lot more than inconvenienced, right? Like this to me was a desecration of an Australian icon, something that represents what Australia is about. But then all of a sudden, when you transplant a Middle Eastern feud onto something that is meant to be all about Australia, and it's like, okay, has Australia become this Middle East conflict? Does that Middle East conflict have a place to play out in Australia? And again, it was a relatively peaceful protest. There was some scuffles, but nothing more than that. But nonetheless, it was a step.
Well, as I say, I think if you or I got on a horse and galloped on Bondi Beach, which is never empty, up and down the beach, flying the Australian flag, and for a March for Australia, support the March for Australia cause, I'm pretty sure we'd be locked up. We'd be facing consequences. We wouldn't be, oh, look, can I have a look at your driver's? Oh, you've got a driver's license? Well, that's okay if you're riding the horse on the beach. Okay,
Is that what happened?
That's pretty much what happened, yeah. They just asked for his driver's license.
To your point, if somebody did that on Australia Day and said, I'm going to Australia's iconic beach, I'm going to ride a horse like, Banjo Patterson with the Australian flag to celebrate Australia Day, the guy would be pilloried. He might be locked up.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. It'd be front page news everywhere.
Yeah.
It'd be, and the fact that it was endangering life would be front and centre of the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to go too far out on a limb and sort of say that set the tone for what happened with a massacre that killed 15 innocent people on Sunday. However, it was a step in that direction, and it reflects...
Well, it
was a tiny step in that direction. It reflects the permissiveness of what I call shit behaviour.
It was clearly pressing the boundaries to just to test what the consequences would be, and there were zero consequences. And I guess we should also mention to anyone that's not from Australia that these pro-Palestinian people have serious form of doing this.
Okay.
Remember when they blockaded the National... Well, they didn't blockade it. I think they stormed into the National Gallery of Victoria.
Did they?
Yeah, because it was funded by some Jewish
Donors, okay.
philanthropists were donating money to the gallery. So they decided, well, no one should be allowed to go to the gallery then. We're going to shut down the gallery. So they just went in there into a public, and there were no consequences. I don't think anyone got arrested.
So what we're sort of saying is that these small and escalating events, which in isolation do not seem consequential, do they lead to some guy shooting up a beach and killing a load of people? We're not saying that, but we're saying...
Does it lead to someone thinking, well, if I walk in there with guns and start shooting, there's a pretty good chance that I've got a fair amount of time before the police are going to react?
Okay.
Because they haven't reacted to anything else.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know, that's...
Yeah. Well, just go back to this pathway that we've been on. Even if the protest at the National Gallery, even if the protest at Bondi Beach, even if I'm saying it's too much of a stretch to say that leads to a shootout, what I will say is after October 7 at the Sydney Opera House, when there were folks celebrating what happened in Israel on October 7th and chanting,
Where's the juice?
Where's the juice? Hence the name of this podcast. The allegation was that the protesters were chanting, "Gas the Jews." The police, New South Wales police, in their infinite wisdom, did an analysis of the audio. And 2 months later,
They got an expert
to come out and say, we've studied the audio in depth, and they were not saying "gas the Jews."
I was saying, where's the juice?
They were saying, "Where's the juice?" The absurdity.
Which is perfectly acceptable. Just as acceptable as... I saw a post, and I don't know whether it's accurate or not, so, look, I'll just throw it out there, that one of the shooters was somehow connected to one of the protesters on the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Okay.
And then I remembered there's just form for these Islamic extremists to just keep pushing things and keep getting away with it, and the police just let them get away with it, and they make excuses for them.
Yep.
So there was footage of these, can we call them jihadis? Whatever they were, with ISIS flags, waving ISIS flags, hanging off the harbour bridge. They were just walking along the harbour bridge. They were hanging off the harbour bridge.
Call them protesters at that stage.
Protesters waving, I don't know, when you start waving the flag of a terrorist organisation, you've got to think, is this a protester? Probably not.
Okay.
But anyway, they were waving ISIS flags. They were clearly ISIS flags. We know that there's been Hezbollah flags waved. We know that there's been all sorts of nonsense. And the police's response was to make a public announcement that although they looked like ISIS flags, very, very similar, they had been slightly modified and therefore didn't fit the definition of an ISIS flag, therefore a terrorist organisation. Therefore, it was perfectly legal to fly them.
Gotcha.
And I think it's a bit like the voice analysis where how do you analyse a flag that's being waved to a degree that you can spot the difference?
Right.
I mean, to everyone, it was an ISIS flag.
To the average person. In fact, we joked that maybe it was a spelling error in the ISIS Arabic lettering, and that's what allowed the flag waver to get away with it.
Is it not about intent?
Yeah, well, it's another, as you said, it's another absurdity. And can I add another one? And that is one of these protesters was carrying a sign that said "Death to Australia." And in my mind, that's an incitement to hatred, death, destruction, violence. And how the police let that sort of thing slide, beyond me.
We've had 2 years of it. Yeah. We've had 2 years of highly aggressive, hostile, antisocial, nasty people marching through our streets weekend after weekend, basically verbally and threatening to physically attack anyone that they deem isn't within their clique. All you have to be is not dressed up like an Antifa person.
Yep.
And you're open for attack, basically, as we experienced ourselves.
As we did.
We were surrounded by them, and they were very confused because they just thought, who are these middle-aged white guys? Are they the enemy, or are they just a couple of people walking down the street? Yeah. But they went on the side that we were the enemy, but not to the point that they attacked us, but certainly that they behaved in a very threatening manner towards us.
They say that be careful about meeting your heroes. And maybe for these Antifa rats, they need to be careful about meeting their enemies.
Yes.
and actually seeing their humanity. It destroys your entire purpose in life. All right.
But I guess obviously the point is that we've been on this slippery slope, and now we've arrived at the very, very worst destination.
Yep.
And our political elite are, I think, treating us with utter disdain in their response.
All right. So we've got a video. Do you want to tell us a quick bit about the video, and then I'll hit play?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. It's a northern fella, I believe, from England. And I just came across this today, and I thought, well, this guy's actually incredibly got his finger completely on the pulse. And he's analysing the media, the police, the politicians, everyone's response to this tragedy that unfolded. And I think he's got a very accurate take. Right. So I don't know how much we can add to it, but let's have a listen to it. And
so there we go. It's a 10-minute video, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see how we go.
He's pretty succinct.
The utterly vile Bondi Beach attack leaves numerous disturbing questions about the government's bizarre response. Did the police respond quickly enough? The Bondi police station was a 4-minute walk from the beach.
Good point.
Sorry?
Legacy media coverage insists the police responded very quickly, but one eyewitness tells a different story.
Can you tell me what happened?
There was 2 shooters, one on the bridge, one under the bridge, and just start to shoot for 20 minutes. They shoot, change magazine and just shoot. Simple as that. 20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody give fire back. Nothing. Like they are froze. Like for it looked like 20 minutes.
We know that at one point a brave local disarmed one of the attackers.
I just want to add, the New South Wales State Premier came out and was apparently very upset that people were questioning.
I saw that. He just basically wouldn't acknowledge their concerns.
So he gave a Greta Thunberg, how dare you, but didn't actually engage with their
Absolutely, and just completely avoided addressing the concerns that literally there were police on hand who were armed who did nothing.
Well, okay. I feel sorry for cops. I think they have a really tough job, and you've got 2 guys with long guns and you're cops. One of them was a junior PC trainee apparently, but 3 others were not.
4 cops, 2 shooters. They're armed.
2 long guns versus handguns?
Yeah, but okay, they can't shoot 360 degrees, can they, at once?
Okay.
So unless they're back to back, like, I don't know. They were separated. I don't know. Everyone's got their own opinion, but I think they're police officers. They're sworn to protect the public, and this was their moment to shine.
Well, you know what's interesting? Remember the US example where a school got shot up? Well, sorry, there's many of those examples. A few years ago, a school got shot up, and the school policeman who was assigned to that school, he was the school cop, he shot himself. And the shooting was going on inside the school, and he was outside carrying behind a car with his gun out, waiting for backup to arrive. Backup arrived, and the cop said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm waiting for you." The cop said, "What?" and ran straight in and did what he could to save the day. That fellow who was basically in the moment froze and couldn't step up to do the job. He was roundly, I feel sorry for him, but he was roundly ridiculed and condemned and hated for not saving the kids, as his job description suggested he should have done. Since then, there's been a cultural shift in American policing where every single police department in the country has sat down with their team and made it very clear that going into a situation like that, going into a building with an active shooter, is part of their job. And they'll be given the training and the resources being a vest and a gun.
It's like being a bodyguard for the president. We were discussing it the other day, weren't we? I mean, that's obviously there's an inherent danger there, but it's your job. That's what you signed up for.
That's true, but it needed to be made clear again, needed to be reinforced into American policing, because over time you start to go into a false sense of belief that it's not part of your job. Because the truth is, over the career of most police officers, they don't even draw their guns, let alone shoot a bullet. So
But I'm sure they practice on the range regularly. They must.
That's true. They
must.
do. That's true. They do. But you're never quite prepared for that ultimate situation, right? We never. Each of us doesn't know how we'll react. As brave as we want to be, it's a bit hard to.
Well, I take that for you and I and the greengrocer who disarmed the guy who ultimately the worst mistake he ever made was not pulling the trigger.
Yep. Yeah.
And I've heard the defence that's not the job of the local cops. There's a special operations team that come in and like a SWAT team.
Okay.
That's their job. But when you've got two guys shooting indiscriminately at members of the public,
Yep.
you're armed.
Yep.
There's four of you. You've got communication. You would at least think that they would. I mean, you'd at least have a crack, wouldn't you? Like, what did they even draw their guns? Anyway, let's watch this.
I think they should. I think they should.
I understand it to a point, but I think if an unarmed civilian is willing to and not one, we've seen numerous of them, gave their lives, to try and save people, and the police don't have the fucking balls to step up.
Okay,
I think that's
So
right.
can I say there's a cultural problem then? Because I'm on the Facebook Messenger, not on Facebook, but somehow on the Facebook notifications for Vic Pol recruiting. And
For what, sorry?
Vic Pol, Victoria
Recruiting?
Police recruiting.
Well, they'll just hire anyone now, won't they?
That's the point. I think that's the point. So they're not actually recruiting people who are of the Constitution to actually step up in crisis situations.
But they want more pay.
You're only as good as the people you recruit and the people you train. And
Whose fault is it that the police force has become what it's become? I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people have said, why would you join the police after the way they treated the public in Cope? They shot rubber bullets happily at innocent people. That the very worst thing they did was just step outside in a group without masks on.
that was a huge breach.
They were happy to shoot rubber bullets at them.
Yeah, that was a huge breach of trust.
So,
Community.
you take that example and you go, okay, well, this is a real life situation where these aren't just people that are protesting. These are literal murderers.
Yeah.
And they're in public and they're mowing down civilians,
Yeah.
literally women and children.
Yeah.
It's not just, randomly, indiscriminately.
Yeah.
And you're too scared to pull out your gun or you're too scared to put yourself in? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Let's go on.
Oh!
Hero, without a doubt. But should he have taken him out there and then? Because the terrorist walked away, picked up another gun
look at
and
him.
continued the shooting.
I mean, I didn't realise that you pointed out that the son was on the grassy knoll with a line of fire to this bloke. Because I would have said, if you don't want to shoot him, at least run up and smack him with the butt of the rifle, because the guy was stumbling all over the place. He looked like he was drunk. He was definitely in a very vulnerable position right there and could have been taken out. I mean, look, who am I to say? I think the guy's
So in this moment,
champion for doing what he did. But
a hero in the white shirt went up and wrestled the gun off the one of two shooters.
he's not a young bloke either. So
younger than us.
But I guess he's a Syrian. He's probably been through he's probably seen it all.
He's seen it all before.
So, it's probably just another day for him.
But he chose not to shoot the fella for whatever
Which
reason.
is just bizarre. And I don't know, I guess there'll be all sorts of theories about why he didn't shoot.
Okay, well, the guy with this video might tell us what happens next, but I'll tell you what does happen in case he doesn't. The perp is allowed to walk away. There's another fellow who starts throwing bricks at the perp as he walks away.
He's a real hero as well.
Real hero as well.
What a legend. I love that.
That perp, the brick thrower, who's an elderly rabbi, then gets shot by the other gunman and killed.
Okay, and that just pulls you back to the cops. So you've got a rabbi armed with a brick who's willing to put his life on the line to try and take these guys out.
Yeah.
You've got a greengrocer who's, wrestled the gun out of the guy's hand and, I don't know, for whatever reason, didn't shoot him. But at least he's done that much.
The rabbi maybe should have picked up the gun that the greengrocer put down and finished the job.
Well, that would have, I guess, what would you do in a situation like that?
Yeah, it's all
but
happening.
out of all these people that are heroic, and we haven't even seen the footage of the was it two guys that tried to wrestle the guns out of their hand that got shot and died. So a lot of people try to stop these guys, and it sort of brings me back to what the hell are the cops doing?
Okay.
Anyway.
Continue.
I didn't the police take him out when he was unarmed. The
That's an
authorities were
excellent
keen
question.
to shut down such questions with vehemency.
Just standing there.
Yeah, this is the
Included
bit.
that police, up to 4 police were standing around one of the active shooters.
Look at
not
Albo
giving
in the
fire
back.
Just standing.
So look at Albo skulking away in the back. He's sitting there just glaring at him saying, you better not throw me under the bus here.
He looks like Dick Cheney. He's up to mischief, but staying out of the limelight.
Oh, he's a shocker. Can I just say, every time Albo gets asked uncomfortable questions, have you noticed the look that he gives? No. You can just see his blood is boiling.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, if there were no cameras,
Yeah.
because he's such a horrible person. Like, he'd be like, he thinks, for a moment he thinks, I'm in Parliament, I'm just going to tear this guy to shreds. He realises, oh no, I'm in public, I've got to play it cool.
It's like
but you can see him seething.
It's like he's got a Zen mantra and he just repeats it to himself.
Yeah, he just has to stop himself. He's like, always snaps, but manages to keep it cool.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. An eyewitness said that it was like they froze.
James, no, sorry, hang on a sec. Wait, I'm just going to stop you there. I'm not going to speculate on that right now.
And this isn't to take away from the police who eventually did
answer's
take out
that?
the attackers. Thank God for them. And I'd be very careful about claiming these female police
Where's
officers
her gun?
froze.
Where's
Look
her
to me-
gun? What the hell? Why has she not got a gun in her hand? What's the one at the back doing?
Is this during the active shooting? There's a dude walking to the beach with his beach towel.
No, I think what they're doing there, well, let's read it. It says, an image from the Bondi Beach shooting shows a female cop freezing during the attack. As the Bondi Beach terror attack unfolded and shots rang out, the 4 police people, whatever, on the scene froze, according to a witness. So, I mean, I don't know. No one looks too worried there. Maybe she's just saying, hey, everyone, relax.
Well, she knows something's going on, but the dude behind walking off to go for a swim, he's got no idea what's going on.
Well, the cop at the stairwell is so... That's a great spot. You're completely covered there. So, I mean, I'm no soldier, but you pull out your firearm, you've got the high ground. Maybe go up the top of the stairs and... Jesus.
All right. I hit play.
Like, they're just directing panicked onlookers. Others say these women literally saved lives. A coward hiding. Yeah, not really sure about that. I mean, it's a shootout with literal terrorists. She's not just going to be blasé walking around out in the open, is she? I mean, am I being too forgiving? Let me know in the comments. Some of the language used in the aftermath was very weird, though. Their Prime Minister responding to an Islamic terror attack by 2 Pakistani Muslims by... highlighting the threat of the right wing.
Director General of Asia has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well.
Talk about burying the lead.
What is the number one?
Well, I think this is highlighted here, but it's not like he just said that once. Now, as I said, look, controversial this might be, but he's never once said the word Muslim or the word Islamic and terrorist. I don't think he's ever said the word Muslim at all. He's never referenced the word Muslim. And I kind of get that maybe that's the politically correct thing to do. But can I ask you a thought about this? So I've noticed very much over the last few years that the English language is now being changed. It's being completely rewritten, like manhole, right?
Yeah.
A manhole.
What's it called now?
As far as I've known, that's always called a manhole.
Yeah.
And I thought, is it still a manhole? It must be. So I looked it up, and it's called something like a maintenance hole. So it's all these subtle changes to these words that I don't think need to be changed. So
See, a person hole might have had sort of sexual connotations.
yeah, exactly. So it's a maintenance hole. I don't know. There's just so many examples. But the terrorist attack, instead of being an Islamic terror, it always, I looked it up. I thought, okay, what was July 7th? What was September 11th? September 11th back in 2000, what were the Bataclan attacks, what was the Charlie Hebdo, so there's millions of them. You just go through.
Yep.
They've always been radical Islamists,
Yep.
terrorist attacks.
Right.
But this one is a anti-Semitic attack.
Ah, interesting.
It's become an anti-Semitic attack. It's
That's-
a terrorist attack.
Yep.
So they labelled it a terrorist attack. But they haven't said what type of terrorism it is.
Okay. So in choosing that language, that description, they are effectively, I mean, not hiding because we all know, but they're certainly not focusing upon the source of the attack in terms of the ideology and where the anti-Semitism stems from.
I believe it's completely ignored. Well, they were trying to whitewash it.
And secondly, they're equating it with the Australian neo-Nazis, who are very anti-Semitic and very nasty, but a different kettle of, terrorism or nastiness. And thus far haven't done anything like this. Maybe they're capable of it, but
Well, I mean, the silent protest got a bloke deported. I mean, it's pretty amazing. He didn't commit a crime. He just stood there.
Well-
Just turned up. I mean, I don't know. You might have just said, hey, listen, I was just a member of the public. I was wearing this similar clothing. I thought, hey, maybe they're waiting in a queue for like the Helly Hansen half-price sale. I'll just join in.
okay. He was clearly a part of a National Socialist / neo-Nazi rally / protest.
No, it wasn't a rally. It was a protest, silent protest.
What's
about a lobby group.
What's the difference between a rally and a protest?
Well, it's because they were just standing there and they were protesting a lobby group. Look, I think these guys are fucking idiots. I think
Okay.
they cause a lot of unnecessary attention to themselves, and it's all negative.
Yep.
And I think,
And they're
I just
haters.
think there's a double standard. And I think it's interesting that when Albo is talking about anti-Semitism and far right, well, your mind goes to those guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we know they're anti-Semitic. That's just their thing.
He's saying there's bad people on both sides. That's really his message. He doesn't want to seem to be.
I think he's trying to sort of like do a bit of a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah,
To
okay.
move your attention away from the Muslims towards the far right and link the anti-Semitism to their cause, the NSN,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to the anti-Semitism that, look, we know is inherent in people, Muslims from certain countries, like the Gazans.
Well, he's actually, his point of view would be that that's not the case.
Oh no, well,
That it's a very, very narrow minority that.
the cynic in me would say that he's pandering to his electorate, that he doesn't want to upset his electorate.
Okay.
That
Yep.
would be the cynic in me, but of course.
But there.
It's a little bit coincidental that the language is so soft.
But okay. But you want to be fair, right? You and I want to be fair. We want to be accurate in the. We want him to be fair and accurate in his description of what's going on, because if you properly articulate what's going on, that means you properly understand what's going on, which means you can properly actually address what's going on. And if you don't do any of those things, you can't properly address what's going on.
Here's my question to you. Do you think it was an anti-Semitic attack, or do you think it was a radical Islam attack? Because Albo's saying, oh, this was an attack on all Australians,
Okay.
which would indicate to me that it's not an anti-Semitic attack at all. It's an
Australia.
anti-society attack.
Yeah, okay.
It's just a terrorist attack to terrify all Australians.
Okay.
They definitely singled out a
Yeah.
group of Jews,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we know that a lot of non-Jews died. It wasn't just Jewish people that died.
Okay, yeah.
There's plenty of non-Jews. There's a photographer there who died.
Okay.
You know, so why is he calling it anti-Semitic? Why is he not saying? I mean, what would happen if I don't know, a white radical right-wing Nazi did the same thing and targeted? I don't know what the example is. I mean, if you target,
Well, but for example,
it
go-
would be an Islamophobic attack if he was that dude who gunned down the mosque.
In Christchurch, New Zealand,
Was that Islamophobic attack?
for sure.
Just a terrorist attack.
Sorry, in terms of how it was described, or how it actually, I can't remember how it was described, but it was absolutely an Islamophobic attack.
Yeah.
He was driven by Islamophobia.
Well, in the same way that these shooters are driven by radical Islam.
Okay, yeah, well, they're driven by. Let's see, more than one thing could be correct at the same time. They were driven by radical.
Anti-Semitic, but I'm just saying that it's focused on one aspect,
Yes,
and the language that
Yes.
they're using
yes.
seems to be very curated
Oh, for sure.
to not upset anyone of and the only time that the word Muslims mentioned is the hero greengrocer who grabbed the gun. It's like, well, he was a Muslim.
Yeah. Okay. So our concern is, look, you and I both know that there's many. Most Muslims are good people. I know plenty of friends who are Muslim. They're fucking good people.
Saying that they were Muslims
The point.
bars every Muslim a terrorist or a potential attacker by any. Quite the opposite. I think it's insulting to imply that.
That's true. That's true. It's infantilizing.
I think that perhaps that as a community they're smart enough to know that they're not being targeted.
Well, not. But here's the other side of it, which you're sort of getting at, is non-radical Muslims are actually the most offended when they're treated as stupid and infantile, because non-radical Muslims, they fear the radical Muslim type as much or more than we do or Jewish people do, with very good reason.
You would think that a lot of them would have fled to Australia to
Yeah.
escape those radical Muslims.
Get away from that madness.
My understanding is that more terrorists they kill more Muslims than anybody.
Yeah, and
they start with like the Nazis. They start with their own and then they just move on to I'm not offended by somebody calling out radical Christians. Like, call them out. Especially in America, they're nuts. Absolute nutters.
Right. But I'm big enough and ugly enough to actually not be hurt by that.
I don't think I'd actually make any connection between myself and a radical nutjob Christian.
There you go. All right, shall we continue?
Priority for you?
Threats of other occurrences, such as the rise in the far right.
Yeah, why is that a priority given that 75% of your terror attacks are Islamic? A figure that's even higher now. I also keep hearing them being described as offenders.
One of the offenders has also been killed.
They're terrorists, just call them terrorists. While some people claim the police response was slow, the government's attempt to censor social media footage of the attack was swift, with the e-Safety Commissioner quickly organising to ensure its removal, highlighting again how one of the state's primary commissioner quickly to censor social media footage of the attack was swift, with the e-Safety Commissioner quickly...
Can you read that out to us?
Okay.
Well, maybe...
A big spender.
Who is she?
Well, we did a whole podcast on this.
Annika Wells, briefly, she's the Federal Minister for Communications, and she is overseeing the e-Safety Commissioner's implementation of an under-16 social media ban, which as a headline, trying to protect kids from certain harms that exist on social media is absolutely a commendable thing. But the way it's been implemented, it looks like a little bit of a Trojan horse to clamp down on freedom of speech.
No, I see that screenshot. And I've got two X accounts. I didn't know that I had the other one. I had the original one that I've had for years, but I just never logged into it.
Okay.
And I logged into it, and bang, it's asking me to prove that I'm over 16.
And how did they want you to do it?
Do you know what? I was so pissed off that it even asked me.
Okay.
But I didn't. It wasn't like the TikTok one.
Okay.
It was legit.
All right.
So I'm already seeing the result of this woman's, Save the Kids campaign. But anyway, what the hell is she up to here? Like, we banned under 16s, right? They're not allowed on social media. They can't.
Well, let's read it. The tragedy at Bondi Beach is shocking and distressing, writes Annika Wells. Last night, the e-Safety Commissioner stood up on their on-call team to monitor what's being shared online.
Is it she the e-Safety? Oh no, she's the minister.
Last night, the e-Safety Commissioner stood up their on-call team. What does that mean? They put them to work, okay, to monitor what's been shared online. If you see violent, harmful, or distressing footage or photos online, well, it's all pretty violent and it's all pretty distressing, harmful. The truth hurts, I suppose.
Well,
Number one.
So basically, that footage that we saw of the dude trying to disarm the terrorist, two dudes,
Yep.
getting shot and killed.
Yep.
We shouldn't be allowed to see that.
That's their message.
I haven't had any mention of that in the media.
Well, let me go on. She says, number one, do not share it further. Even if your intention is to help or raise awareness, you may cause distress to others.
What?
To your point, the under 16s aren't even on social media now, so they're over 16 and they're young adults, and
I think they're old enough to.
Okay, number two, report graphic material to the platform to help it get removed quickly.
Okay, so that's censorship.
Yep. Three, if the material is not removed or if it's seriously harmful, you can report it to esafety.gov.au/report.
Now, would be the motivation? So basically, I don't know if this guy talks about it, but let's just quickly say that there was I don't know who it is, this woman, you'll recognise her. And she was basically saying that you should only get your information from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
That anything else is misinformation, disinformation,
Yep.
harmful,
Yep.
will cause, I don't know, social stress or disharmony or whatever. So these guys can't be serious. We've discussed this before, where we went through COVID. If you listen to CNN, if you listen to all those idiots that were telling you that if you got the vaccine, you couldn't catch COVID, you couldn't spread it, it was a disease of the unvaccinated, blah, 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 mainstream media. I mean, if that was your only source of news, you know, none of us would have a clue that we were just completely lied to.
Yeah, yeah.
David Fauci, the whole lot. So this lady is trying to reimpose those guardrails where we just have to take the...
Well, my theory on this is that they're actually not so bold as to try and censor the news story itself, but they're very, very determined to censor or limit the spread of video footage that attaches to that news. Because video...
that shows the cops sitting around doing fuck all.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, that's part of it. But also, it's like they'd rather sort of... They're worried about inflaming community tensions. And whilst on...
I don't understand what that means.
That's a good question. What does it mean? Because on one hand, does it mean people being engaged on an issue and having a point of view, a strong point of view? Or does it mean people responding inappropriately and you get some sort of extremist reprisal attack? Which, by the way, we don't see in Australia, so therefore the risk of it happening is de minimis. And most people are actually pretty sensible. They don't go in for that sort of stuff at all. So you don't need to infantilize people and not have them have knowledge about what's going on. Because if they have knowledge, they can use their brains, they can be part of a solution.
I think it would be fair to point out too that the people who would have negative connotations of this attack would probably be what I consider the right or the far right.
Okay.
The people that seem to be sympathetic, well, traditionally the pro-Palestinian are more the left. You know, the ones that are sort of whitewashing the fact that the terrorists were Muslims but saying that the hero was a Muslim. There's sort of that narrative that's going on a bit like this.
Sorry, they're offended by what's happening.
No, what I'm saying is that the left, when the March for Australia happened, these are the people on the right came out to protest.
Yeah.
Immediately, the left, what's it called when pingers just called in everyone?
Immobilised.
Mobilised. They mobilised a counter-protest immediately.
Yes.
Large, vocal, nasty group of people that went in with the sole intention of causing violence.
Yep.
For 2 years, we had pro-Palestinian marches.
Yep.
Now, a couple of people turned up with Israeli flags and the cops arrested them.
Yep.
But outside of that, no one on the right mobilised to go in and disrupt these people or interfere with their right to protest. They just let it happen.
In terms of interrupting the left.
Yeah, there was no counter-protest to the pro-Palestinian
No.
protest. It just didn't happen.
No,
So-
we were there. 99.9% of people were there for just to have their voice heard
What I'm saying,
without violence.
That was the March for Australia protest.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
one time that the so-called right-wing people turned up.
So-called, because they're conservative. I don't call them right-wing, they're
They were
conservative.
dads, they were just like
Yeah.
people that like
Middle-aged dorks like us.
literally, that's all they were. They were just people that love their country and love their flag and just wanted to get out and tell the government they disagreed with what they thought that they were doing. But the 2 years of pro-Palestinian marches,
Yep.
they were unhindered.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody counter-protested those.
No,
So the idea that there's going to be a counterattack to this terrorist attack,
it's ridiculous.
it's just non-existent.
No, they're just trying to control the narrative so it's politically convenient for them. Like, as politicians, they are acutely aware that most voters are actually sort of vote on sort of impressions and low information. And in every political sort of policy they try to present, everything is sort of dumbed down in order to grab a soundbite and plant a little seed in somebody's brain, which may or may not be, according to a truth or a fact, but it's an impression. And there's nothing worse for an incumbent political leadership that the impression caused by video of it happening, of people being shot on the streets of Sydney or on the beaches of Sydney. That's a terrible look for an incumbent politician.
But yeah, this is a crazy post. This is.
Should we move?
She's showing her true colours. Yeah.
Continue?
She's also the minister for spending taxpayers' money on exorbitant travel and food bills.
That's for the next podcast. All right.
Which is probably why she's so happy to sort of draw attention away from that.
Look, nobody's celebrating the death of people or the shooting of people at all, but she's kind of glad that she's out of the headlines.
It's good timing, that's for sure.
Yep.
Organising to ensure its removal, highlighting again how one of the state's primary interests in the wake of such attacks is to try to steer and control the public's reaction.
What is your message to the people watching on at home?
I think, first of all, don't let disinformation and misinformation ever rule the day. Listen to sources of truth. Listen to the information. Don't jump.
She looks colour like the Governor General, but who is she?
I think she is.
Is that the Governor General? Is that woman that gets paid, I don't know, was it $500,000 to do fuck all?
It's an important role, isn't it?
But anyway, yeah.
She's dressed like a Governor General, and since we otherwise don't know who she is.
Right, let's just listen to her spiel.
Sorry, where's my mouse?
Stephen Jamie.
Here we go. All right.
things that exacerbate and take us down an even darker path.
An even darker path? What could be darker than the fact that our government have imported monsters who are capable of this?
The father arrived in 1998 on a student visa, transferred in 2001 to a partner visa, and after each trip overseas since then has been on resident return visas.
But the son wasn't a migrant.
The son is...
A partner visa, resident return visa.
He's a resident return visa.
So he's a permanent resident?
So he was a student. I'd love to do a timeline of this.
Okay.
We've got the accurate timeline. And when I tried to do with Google, all the information's incorrect.
Okay.
So maybe the Governor General was right. Early days, there was talk that he was on a tourist visa, and then there was question. But the guy's had a gun license for 10 years.
Well, let's go back a step. He arrived in 98 on a student visa. He then married somebody, then got a partner visa.
Well, if he married them, it'd be a spouse visa.
Sorry, spouse visa.
Well, no, they said partner visa, which is really weird for a Muslim.
That's a good point.
So he's on a partner visa.
And so he's going back and forth out of the country since then.
But he's pumped this kid out. This kid's 24.
Okay. Yeah, well, okay, that's fine. But like he doesn't sound like he acquired citizenship is the implication. He had some sort of long-term resident permit.
Well, he just glazes over all that, doesn't he?
Okay, let's go back. And sorry, before we go back, as you said, he had a son who was born in Australia, Australian mother, who's 24, so he's a citizen.
Here, what, 26 years ago? 27 years ago, sorry. 27 years ago.
Yeah. So
He didn't get a partner visa for 3 years.
So the son was born around then
He had
anyway.
a son.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you have to say,
Well, that doesn't matter.
well, I'm just confused about the whole thing. Like, how does all that work?
I mean, he might have been contravening his own religion, but anyway.
It sounds like, for a devout Muslim, he's probably not playing by the rules.
Okay.
Australian-born citizen.
Seems that Naveed Akram was born in Australia, so the xenophobes can probably pipe down about now. Right, so he was supposedly one of the well-integrated, assimilated ones. That's even worse. Just your average local Sydney man. His mother, after the attack, insisting that he was really a good boy.
Can I just go back? The post a moment ago mentioned Brenton Tarrant, and he was the nasty fellow, evil terrorist who shot up the New Zealand mosque.
Yeah.
Killed 51 people.
Just out of curiosity, I saw a Facebook post about that guy getting a student visa. That kid that was apparently born here, getting awarded a student visa to study at like some Islamic school.
Sorry, the son?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was just early information that turned out to be false.
There's a video of it as well, wasn't there?
No, there's a video of him getting a certificate, but that doesn't...
Maybe that was him in Pakistan. Maybe he went to Pakistan to study. He studied at so weird. He studied some sort of at his Islamic school anyway.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he was on a visa. An Australian citizen can study it.
There's too many moving parts with this.
Well, as you said, the Governor General is onto it when she says there's a lot of shit information out there.
But that's down to the cops. Drip feeding us bullshit, basically.
Well, that's true, but just because it's shit information, it's no reason for e-safety to censor it, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
and what's the deal with Tony Burko? I can't even understand what the hell he's on about.
let's go on.
What is this visa that these people?
Obvious signs of narrative control were in full swing less than an hour after the incident happened, with UK Labour MP Lola McAvoy absurdly insisting that the real takeaway should be that diversity is our greatest strength.
So the escalation of this narrative of who we're against and how much we want to divide each other and how much we want to attack each other, that is really at the core of a lot of the problems that we have in the country at the moment. And I firmly believe that people are good and that given the opportunity, they will look out for each other. And I just want to say that as much as possible, we should try and detoxify the way that we think of people who aren't like us, because our diversity in this country is our strength.
So you can see, we're all thinking the same thing. So the idea is that we can't think anything negative about these people that have just murdered 15 people because they're actually our strength. And the whole reason that they murdered these people is because other people are having negative connotations. Did you follow what the hell she was on about?
It's an absurdity. It's an absolute absurd
It's like a
platitude,
string
which
of
makes
words that none of them actually
Makes sense.
any sense.
Yeah.
Like individually they do, but as a sentence,
No.
it's like, what the hell are you talking about, woman?
Two Islamic terrorists have just massacred a bunch of people on a beach, and your first instinct is to demand that what? We be nicer to Muslims, literally doing the Norm Macdonald meme. I urge you to think of the impact on the Muslim and indeed the wider community. This is why we call it civilizational suicidal empathy.
And I firmly am on the side of working together and celebrating our difference, because, you know, I was a community organiser a long, long time ago.
I know Muslim people. I know they're good people. I don't see what happened at Bondi and have some irresistible urge to go out and be nasty to a Muslim person. She speaks to all of us as though that's what lies within our hearts.
Well, she's saying, make it sound like your thoughts. Like if
Yeah.
you think, oh my God, they were Muslims, the Muslims are going to telepathically realise that and feel distressed. Just forget that they're...
So they're infants who are vulnerable to sort of these vibes. We're inherently evil and we have these impulses to commit evil upon person because they're Muslim.
I can't think that our thinking anything about them that they're not identical, that we might suspect that they're not all kind, loving people, that some of them might be bad apples. That's the reason that this tragedy's unfolding.
Christ. I mean,
fucking hell, when we were kids, man, you don't talk to strangers, mate. I mean, all people might be nice, they might be lovely people.
Yeah.
You don't just go around fucking talking to strangers just on the off chance that one of them isn't fucking nice.
I mean,
it's just common sense.
Does she get out and say, you know what, diversity is our strength, go out and embrace a neo-Nazi? Does she ever say that?
Good point. And if she did say that, you'd say you're fucking crazy, woman.
Exactly. Nuts. Oy, oy, oy.
And the strongest campaigns that we ever worked on were about bringing people of different faiths and different worldviews and different backgrounds together to find what we had in common.
Yeah, holding hands and singing Don't Look Back in Anger. We've tried that. Doesn't work. Time for a new approach? I guess not. After all, we wouldn't want to jeopardise the precious exotic street cuisine and dance moves.
Living in a monocultural society, it'd be so boring. The food would be all the same. If we walked down Rundle Street and went out for a feed, there'd be all the same restaurants. I couldn't think of anything worse. The music would have no richness.
Imagine if you stood up and said that about China or Japan.
So boring. I can't go to China because there are too many Chinese people.
I went to China and all the food, it was the most boring place I've ever been. I mean, all the food was Chinese. All the people were Chinese. It was horrible. It was the worst experience I've ever had.
The tragedy of that fellow who is the state premier of South Australia, and to foreign listeners, that's like a state governor. The guy is so stupid to think that that sort of language, that sort of speech to his state is what we need to hear. It's like he's speaking to a 6-year-old.
Wouldn't you say he's insulted like that 3/4 of the population of the world that have homogenous societies?
Oh, that's true.
He's just completely insulted them.
Well, but he does think lesser of them, I think.
Unless they're all living amongst us, and then they're awesome.
Yeah, once they come here, they're an oppressed minority, and he celebrates them.
So on their own, they're shit. But when they're all jumbled up together, it's magic.
I mean, but if our political leadership is that stupid, like, I don't really like Albo and I disagree with what he says, but he's not stupid, right? I'll give him that. That guy seems flat stupid. Like he's Tim Waltz level stupid.
David Levy level stupid.
Yeah, well, there you go. What is he, like the deputy PM of UK? That's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Country one day.
All right, here we go.
Anyway.
Colour. We wouldn't see different dance performances like we've already seen just in the last few moments. We are so lucky. We are so fortunate to be able to have this here.
So
I say we should retain our dedication towards it.
Sorry, let's cut to the white kids, like painted up like Aboriginals dancing around, doing Aboriginal dancing. We wouldn't have that if it wasn't for immigrants. If it wasn't for multiculturalism, there would be no Aboriginal.
We need to come back. We'll do a special episode on this nonsense.
Multiculturalism doesn't add to South Australia. Multiculturalism is at the heart of who we are as South Australians.
Because what value is free speech, social cohesion and basic safety up against the wondrous phenomenon of multiculturalism?
Australia doesn't have the free speech laws that are in place in America, and for one very important reason, because we have developed a multicultural community where it doesn't matter what your faith or your religion is, you must live side by side with your neighbour in peace.
Wow, we've created a paradise. You know what it's missing though?
So Minns, who's the state premier of another state in Australia, New South Wales, the biggest state in the country, the state where this shooting just happened.
Who decried the March for Australia rally.
True, yeah.
Extreme far-right Nazis and racists.
What he just said was so dumb. He said that free speech needs to be...
We can't have it because we'll offend each other.
Because we're multicultural.
Yeah, so that's because we're a multicultural country, we don't have free speech. We can't have it.
Now, he said something which is so dumb, and I think if he had a chance, he'd probably think about it and not say it again. But he did say it, and I don't think it's a stupid guy, Minns. Maybe he is. But I'm sort of worried about the calibre of our leadership that they would say something like that. At least acknowledge the tension that exists. You know, free speech is the last line of defence against fuckwit politicians who do stupid things.
And it always seems to defend everyone except for the native population. They're the only ones that are immune to any type of offence or racism or bigotry or, dirty words.
Who's the native population? Anglo-Saxons or Indigenous Aboriginal Australians?
I'm thinking more of the UK.
Oh, okay.
I think, look, we're at sort of stage 1. They're at DEFCON fucking 6.
Yeah, right.
They're about to blow.
Okay.
But it's quite clear that the restriction of freedom of speech protects everyone in the UK except for the actual Indigenous English.
Yeah, okay. All right, continue.
Not all Muslims was trending on X. Help, I'm getting bitten to death by ants. Not all ants. And the Islamophobia hotline must have been ringing off the hook. While there was absolutely zero conversation about Islamism or mass migration, the esteemed authorities immediately zeroed in on 2 priorities: speech control and gun control. New hate speech laws to restrict freedom of expression are a shoo-in. Ditto for making it harder for law-abiding Australians to own firearms.
We're looking to recall Parliament as soon as possible to introduce legislation to crack down on gun ownership, but I'm determined to introduce the toughest gun legislation in the country.
The government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that...
I'm going to declare Chris Minns is fucking stupid, because to try and focus on guns as the underlying problem here, like I've heard politicians say, how did this fellow have 6 guns? As though there should have been a limit of say 2 guns, for example. Well, these guys only needed 2 guns to do what they did.
I'm just shocked because it appears as though there was some sort of systemic breakdown on behalf of the government and their actual their
security processes.
Like a guy in his 50s living in a Sydney suburb is licensed to have 6 firearms.
But the 6 doesn't make a difference.
Or
one or
whatever.
two's enough.
I mean, and the fact that we don't know what the hell visa he was on. He seems to be coming and going from the country constantly. He's not like a PR. So he's leaving the country. Where is his guns? I don't know what the rules are with guns. I think you get them in the lockbox or something like that.
But see, I disagree. I don't think guns are the problem. Like, certainly guns were used as very effective killing tools in this incident, and that's terrifying. However, these 2 guys are wacky enough that they could have driven a car into a crowd. There were improvised explosive devices found in their car, which didn't go off. But if they spent a bit more time, they would have.
I agree. It's like the machete ban, isn't it? It's like, people are getting hacked up with machetes. Well, how are we going to fix that problem? We'll just ask them to hand in their machetes.
Yeah.
So guarantee Almo's going to come out with some bullshit gun amnesty or buyback system like Howard did.
Yeah.
And then, look, I don't want a gun. I don't need one. I'm never going to want one.
Well, after Sunday, maybe reconsider that.
But I don't believe that ordinary Australians should be penalised because a couple of nut jobs somehow scammed the system and went around and killed a load of people.
Yeah, look, there seems to be a whole lot of other things that should have happened already to prevent this happening. And if those things had happened,
like ASIO, the government following up on ASIO's warning that the guy was a terrorist, that might be a little bit more helpful than worrying about amending the gun rules.
Exactly. All right.
He hasn't said that, has he? He hasn't said, we're going to look at our communication lines between ASIO and federal police or whoever the fuck. So whoever's supposed to be monitoring these people, these radicals.
Yeah.
He hasn't mentioned anything like that. It's just like, let's crack down on people calling Jews bad names and people having guns.
It's an easy headline. Yep.
He's a lazy politician, this bloke.
Yep.
It's the need for tougher gun laws.
I mean, to be really blunt, make it more difficult to get these horrifying weapons that have no practical use in our community. If you're not a farmer, if you're not involved in agriculture, why do you need these massive weapons that put the public in danger and make life dangerous and difficult for New South Wales Police?
I'm not sure, maybe some good guys with guns would have saved a lot of lives in this situation.
We will do whatever it takes to force the strongest possible action from governments to keep Australians safe.
Turn in your firearms, we'll protect you. The protection every single time. Free speech restrictions and gun control. As if a hardened terrorist eager to commit an atrocity would be swayed by either of those things. How is it that one of the first world's most authoritarian governments could launch such a brutal crackdown on its own people for exercising their beliefs during COVID? Literally ban the world #1 tennis player from entering the country. Ban right-wing YouTubers from entering the country. Weaponise its intelligence agency, ASIO, to monitor people expressing anti-migration sentiment as potential terrorists. Yet when it comes to the revolting belief system that inspired this attack, which had reportedly been allowed to grow and fester, specifically in Sydney in the months before the attack, allow such demons to live amongst us and plan this.
That's a very valid point. There's been no mention of radicalisation. Like, these guys, we know that they went to some sort of Islamic school. One of them did anyway, the son. Some sort of Islamic school.
Yeah.
We know that it was motivated pure hatred of Jews as a result of their religious beliefs.
Yeah.
There has been zero mention about, let's get to the bottom of where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Who's radicalising these people?
Yeah.
How do we prevent them let's deport them? Yeah. Any of these imams that get up and start spouting this sort of rhetoric. We have a mandatory deportation. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, they people say that these types all come out of the same small number of Lakemba mosques.
Well, as we said, I think the family, it's highly unlikely that these 2 guys have plotted this whole thing from that house without anyone knowing.
No.
Without it slipping, without any knowledge.
You tell your mates. You tell your close radical mates. You'd all be loving it together.
It just beggars belief.
Yeah.
And the feedback is, no, he was a good kid. And the other
According to his mum. But
well, the other thing that's crazy is when you watch the guy shoot, the guy is a lethal weapon. Like,
Okay.
he seriously is a sharpshooter.
Okay.
He's fucking going for it. Like, that dude has just practiced and practiced. It's like he's picked up a gun and gone out and decided, I'm going to shoot some people today.
Okay.
That guy has been practicing. So he's been practicing somewhere.
Okay.
So someone must know. There must be a shooting range somewhere that knows that this guy's been turning up on a regular basis and practicing.
Well, they go out to a farm or the bush somewhere and shoot targets. Like, his dad was licensed, so they could go out hunting, no problem, right?
I just figure the way he shoots, it looks like he's had some serious training. Maybe he did it in Pakistan, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
But the concept that his mother put forward, that the guy just comes home, goes to work, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't party, he's just a good boy.
You got to forgive her for that. Like, if you and I got into trouble, our mothers would say the same thing about us.
I don't think that if I went around and shot 15 people, my mum would say, oh, he was a good son. She'd say, look, I thought he was a good son. I don't know what possessed him to do such a horrible thing, and it's terrible, and I condemn it.
Okay.
That's what I would imagine would happen.
Yeah, well, there might have been sympathy on her part for the anti-Semitic motivation, the Islamic radical motivation that the fellow had.
Well, she in no way decried what he did.
Then she didn't...
Nothing. She said he was a good boy.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. She was focused on him, not on the victims of this.
Well, she was like gaslighting everyone to say it wasn't him. He was a nice boy. He never did such a thing.
I don't know. It's tough. In families, it's tough. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. ASIO knew about the younger shooter being linked to ISIS as far back as 2019. Yet since 2019, they banned numerous prominent critics of Islam from entering Australia, while literally letting ISIS brides return, giving them Australian passports, while overseeing an immigration policy, the largest influx in Australia's modern history, which allowed hundreds of thousands of people to enter from countries like Pakistan and Afghanistan, where advocacy for extremist violence is a minority opinion, but still disturbingly high. Suffice to say, given that government officials are being heckled at memorials.
Blood on your hands, Tony Burke!
Shame, Tony Burke! Shame!
Shame on you!
I think it was like first thing in the morning at dawn, so no one could. Used to work. Unfortunately, they don't show Faruqi. Have you seen Faruqi?
No.
Oh my god, she had the gall to turn up. And she got, that Jewish Sky News reporter, Sherry, I think her name is.
Yeah, Sherry Markson.
Yeah. Well, she cornered it.
Really?
Yeah.
There's footage of that?
Oh, yeah.
We'll splice that in.
Let's find it, actually.
We'll splice it in. So what happened?
Well, basically, what I'd like to do is do like a montage of Faruqi in Parliament, calling everyone racist, evil white people, saying that a fucking king sucks, and it's good that he's the Queen. It's good that she's dead. And
okay.
So all that shit. Like she's so vocal, and anyway, she got cornered, and suddenly she was all humble pie. It's like, oh, I'm just here to pay my respects. It's like, well, the audacity of you to turn up. These people do not want you here with your
her rhetoric
disgusting rhetoric.
Yeah.
Just what are you thinking? Why on earth would you think that anyone would want you to turn up? It's just outrageous. Anyway, we should have a look at the interview. It's quite funny. But yeah, he's skulking, I should say, under cover of darkness, hoping no one's actually going to see him. They were there. They were waiting for him.
He saw what happened to Faruqi. Didn't want to deal with the same.
I think he went in before her.
Okay. Well, he was smart.
I think he was like there, like dawn. Just get over and done with, get out, get over to the camera and start handing out, hand vote cards.
It's so sad because it's so true, which makes it darkly funny. All right, here we go.
We're hearing some shouting in the background on Tony Burke. So it looks like Tony Burke might have just turned up. Is that right? Chris Kenny's here. Do we think Tony Burke has just turned up?
If we want to pan the camera, that's okay
at the
too.
scene of the memorial. Yes.
Yes.
So he's just walking out now. So everyone is yelling, "Shame on you, Tony Burke."
Much of the narrative being pushed by the authorities is likely to be at complete odds with how many ordinary Aussies feel.
I don't give a flying fuck who you pray to. I am not Islamophobic. I'll tell you what I'm phobic of. I'm phobic of people who want to kill us. Fuck these people. Put them on a shark food pontoon, send them on. Multiculturalism is a complete failure in this country.
If you value what I do and you want to help support me, please visit pauljosephwatson.locals.com and either pledge a one-time donation
Good
or...
on him. He made a good video.
To Paul for that video, and I'm sure that if anyone wants to check it out in full without our commentary, they can do so on his.
We'll put a link below. All right. We've been going for a while now, so let's wrap it up, and we'll insert the Faruqi video. Good?
Yep.
All right. Thanks for watching. Viewer discussion advised.